Hello everybody and welcome back to Analog Vernacular. Today we're going to be playing more Tales of Arise, and the music in this area is going ham, and I'm loving it. It's got like a choir in the background. It's great. You missed like a super epic moment right before I started hitting record where I was just listening for a second, and it was really good. It was really good.
That vision we saw, it was as if it was meant specifically for us.
What do you make of it? Do you still think the will of Dahna might be involved somehow?
Maybe it's trying to tell us something. But what?
Gotta do the ceremony?
It could be supernatural. You know, like seeing dead people, messages from beyond the grave, ghost-type stuff.
That's your grand theory? That we're being haunted? Come on, Law.
Wait. He might be closer to the mark than you think. What if a person's thoughts and deeds were to somehow become indelibly etched into the ether of a place? And what if those with a connection could then somehow pick up on them?
You think that's what it was? Some kind of message someone left here for us?
Naori.
I am merely
It was her
entertaining the
memories.
possibility. Whether it was Dahna's will, or somehow connected to the Sovereign and Maiden's powers, I do not know.
Okay, back up a sec. You're saying that if a place is full of enough astral energy, it can somehow show us events that happened centuries ago?
More to the point, how does that much astral energy gather in one place anyway? Seems unlikely it happened naturally.
That's what the beam was
Whatever
doing.
it was, it survived here intact for 300 years. Whoever left it for us, the strength of their intent is beyond doubt.
The strength of their intent.
I mean, they were sucking astral energy into this moon. Into this fake moon, I should say. Oh my gosh, one step and there's another cutscene. This area is full of them.
Soon, we might very well learn the truth behind Shion's thorns. As well as my own past, I have to be ready to face anything. Whatever happens.
Okay,
Just need a little time.
that is a warning if ever I saw one. Let's save onto a new line. Okay, this might be a point of no return.
Soon, I have to be ready to face anything.
The only way is forward.
I'm determined to save Shion and Dahna. Nothing I learn can change that. Hold up, you guys.
What is it?
I want to look through that room over there. I'm curious what we'll find.
That's the room you visited in your past,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Sure. We can check it out.
Yeah, it only feels right to either play as Alphen or Shion, and since we are often Alphen, I'll play as Shion for a minute walking around here.
This looks like some kind of research facility.
A laboratory secreted away in the Forbidden Zone. Why am I past being surprised at this point?
Looks pretty deserted.
Let's check it out. It might give us a new lead.
What if it's a cycle of some kind? There's like so few people here. Like, what if back in the day when shit was going down, like most of the people were died? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna stop speculating on
To
that.
the people of Lenegus, the Forbidden Zone is the stuff of dreams. Yet here I am, standing within its hallowed halls.
It's off limits even for lords, then? Talk about an exclusive club.
Being exclusive is one thing, but how many important facilities let in only the Sovereign? Doesn't that seem a little strange?
Strange doesn't cover it. If it was only one room, maybe. But a place on this scale? How did they keep it from falling into ruin? Whoever the Sovereign is,
And it wasn't empty 300 years
they can't
ago.
manage the upkeep of this whole
Other people
place
were allowed in.
themselves.
Did no one ever talk about it when you were growing up?
No, not that I can remember. Then again, Sovereigns and Forbidden Zones weren't exactly breakfast table conversations.
The Forbidden Zone is a hallowed place, at one with the Sovereign's authority, grounds of the one true ruler who presides over all Renans. That is what we believed this place to be. No, what we were made to believe it was. But now, it is finally time to discover this area's true purpose, and why it was kept hidden behind the scenes for so long.
Yeah, lots of questions.
I think I can make this work.
Well, can you make head or tail of it?
These are experiment records by the looks of it. Reams of them, dating back hundreds of years. Let's see. A composite being capable of controlling Dahnan astral energy so as to convert its molecular and elemental makeup. The creation of a governing central figure, taking the form of a Dahnan. Codename Sovereign.
Taking the form of a Dahnan.
Sovereign!
Wait, there's more. Research into utilizing force field crystals for the purpose of stable astral energy containment. That must be the master course.
Yeah.
With all this raw data, there's bound to be records here somewhere about the Maiden and the Lords, too.
About the Lords? Why would they be on there?
They have the cores.
Think about it. The Lord's crests are clearly of a piece with those of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. Not to mention the fact that the contenders to the crown are selected from otherwise regular Renan citizens. In other words, it may be that all Renans are unwittingly being made subject to some kind of grand scheme.
What about the Sovereign? Does it say anything else?
Where do I start? All I've read so far is the headlines. There's so much here. To sift through all of it would require specialized... Wait,
What is it? Did you find something?
it's a list of names, with the title, Test Subjects, Sovereign. It's your call.
Read it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't we? You kidding me?
There must be dozens of test subjects listed here. Hundreds even.
Volron's gonna
All
be
of them
one.
failures.
Ooh, Volron might be a failure. So if we're the success and Volron's the failure, maybe that's why he's so upset?
Wait, I think I've found one that was successful.
Or it's the other way around, but no, that wouldn't make sense.
Test subject number 1273. Ethnicity, NA. Unique adjustment index, generation, NA. Given name, Alphen.
Yeah, Volron's probably a failure. Especially if he's also
They
from 300 years
re-engineered me.
ago.
Right here in this lab.
Alphen.
It's fine, really. What about the others? Was I the only one?
Test subject number 10105. Ethnicity, NA. Unique adjustment index, generation, NA. Given name, Volron.
Volron?
As a success?
But that means...
He's only sovereign because someone made him that way too.
He's the last one. In 3 centuries worth of records, you and Volron are the only 2 subjects on whom the experiment was a success.
But is he from this generation or from 300 years ago?
But what about the winners of the crown contests? Does this mean that none of them were ever crowned sovereign after all?
Upon victory, the Sovereign shall return to Rena and rule over Rena and Lenegis combined. When a new sovereign is decided, the outgoing monarch shall relinquish their post and live out the rest of their days on Rena. So we were told. But according to these records, there have only ever been 2 sovereigns, neither of whom had anything to do with the crown contest.
So what I'm wondering is, the person who won the previous crown contest, is he listed in this list as a failure? Or is
It's
something
all
else
lies,
happening with them?
including the part about the sovereign residing in Rena. The crown contest was never about deciding a new ruler. It must always have been devised for some other purpose.
But even supposing that's true, someone must have been in charge for the past 3 centuries, right? If it wasn't the Sovereign, then who was it?
Crown contests have been held this whole time, in spite of the fact that there was already a sovereign. Me. Meaning that for the past 300 years, someone out there has to have been maintaining that lie. The same person I'm willing to bet is behind all this.
The Red Woman?
It's possible. But that doesn't necessarily mean she's the mastermind behind this scheme. She could be working for someone else. Someone back on the Renan homeworld.
Which we know next to
way,
nothing about,
It's fair to say she's definitely involved somehow.
which is fascinating.
What about the data records? Is there no other information that could help us?
Not that I can see. Just file upon file of experiment results. There's nothing here about who's behind all this, or what their endgame is, unfortunately. I've barely managed to scratch the surface, mind you. You won't be able to read through it all, but you're welcome to take a look through what you can, while we're here.
I'll do that.
So this is where Alphen became the Sovereign. And Volron as well.
Ooh, we might be able
The
to get...
significance of this location would suggest...
Hey, it looks like the terminals in here turned on too.
We should look through them. They might contain valuable information.
Hell yeah, we should.
Only 2 sovereigns in over 300 years. So why has the experiment only succeeded twice in all this time? And if that's the case, why keep on doing it? Was there really no other way? Or could there be some other reason?
Dohalim.
Forgive me.
Alphen.
I'm fine. I'm just a little shaken, that's all. I knew what I was already, so it's not like it's a surprise or anything. But it's strange. I've got all this rage inside of me, but I don't even know who it's for. I'm scared that I'll put a face to it, just to have someone to blame.
If that were to happen, then No. Then we'd help you fight it, before you ever got that far. Wouldn't we, everyone?
Yeah, we wouldn't just sit by and watch you spiral out of control.
That's right. No good can come from being consumed by hatred.
If you ever start to lose your way, you can count on us to guide you back. To remind you where home is.
And I would be happy to lend an attentive ear, should you ever have need.
Thank you, everyone. I think I'll be okay now.
It could be a loaded gun right there. Later in the story, we're going to see Alphen lose it a little bit when we find out who's behind it. Select a topic to explore. Okay. Let's start with the spirit cores. Spirit cores are end terminals used for the collection of astral energy. When embedded in a biological subject, it establishes connections throughout its body. These connections are used to amass astral energy generated from physical activity, which is then emitted from the host body itself. Because this emitted energy is prone to diffuse, the host must be placed within range of a spirit vessel for the energy to be collected. This means that Dahnans must be employed to harvest the astral energy for the purpose of the crown contest. Given the difficulty in producing them, it is advised that spirit cores be retrieved from host bodies and reused upon their death. Ooh, that's dark. Spirit cores can also be embedded in Zeugles to control them via astral arts. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Addendum. Increased physical load on a host body tends to produce increased astral energy emissions, which is why they're literally worked to death. Final confirmation of ideal workload to impose on host bodies without inducing death for maximum astral energy yields is still pending. That's why they work people so damn hard. Ugh, that's dark. Selected topic. Okay, Master Cores. Master Cores are instruments of power containing astral energy that belongs to one of the 6 elements. 5 of these Master Cores, those with Earth, Water, Fire, Wind, and Light, are loaned to Renin Lords at the time of the Crown Contest. Only the Dark Master Core is maintained inside the Forbidden Zone until the Renis Alma is ready to be reformed. Its existence kept top secret. But we created it down on Dahna this time. Or maybe, was it the Red Lady who had it? Where did that Dark Core Master Core come from? I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Underneath the Master Core's spherical outer layer is a force field crystal used for the purpose of astral energy containment and stabilization. Inside the force field, astral energy is stored in a dormant state. For the duration of their tenure, each lord competes in the Crown Contest to amass their allotted type of astral energy. In the event of an emergency, each lord may be allowed to withdraw from their respective stock of astral energy as necessary, to use it in fights and stuff. However, the extent allowed is determined based on their own individual strength. Addendum 1. Design flaws have been discovered in how the Renis Alma materializes. Be advised that active Master Cores may resonate with other Master Cores located in close proximity and become unstable. Interesting. And Addendum 2. Due to successful regeneration of the Renis Alma, Master Cores will cease to be deployed, and the Crown Contest will be permanently halted. Wait, what? The Crown Contest will be permanently halted due to successful regeneration of the Renis Alma? So is that saying that they did successfully regenerate the Renis Alma, or that if it's regenerated? The way that this is worded, it makes it sound like, due to us successfully regenerating a Renis Alma, we're going to stop the Crown Contest. So why is it still going if that's the case? I might be too dumb to piece all this together myself, so I'm just warning you all now that I'm a big old stupid person, so you've been warned. So when you have it figured out and I don't be frustrated with me. I warned you that I'm stupid. Okay, lords. Each Crown Contest, 5 of the best qualified members of the Renin populace are chosen to act as lords, vying to serve as the next sovereign. During their tenure, they are granted level 3 authority, as well as one of 5 elemental realms to administer, and its corresponding Master Core. They are granted level 3 authority, okay, we don't really know what that means, as well as one of 5 elemental realms to administer and its corresponding Master Core. Yes, okay. They are also assigned an ID crest indicating their designated element. The selection process is based only on astral artistry and physical and mental aptitude. Other variables, such as age, have no bearing whatsoever. Because only the strongest go on to become lords, the position itself does not inherently make an individual any stronger. It should be noted, however, that lords are not the only individuals capable of drawing out a Master Core's power. Yeah, we know that to be true. Shion's been doing it. All Renins must take part in the selection process, and acceptance of the position is mandatory. It is not allowed for those deemed suitable to decline. Furthermore, in the event that an acting lord is incapacitated and can no longer serve in their position, a replacement must be quickly prepared. Unique Adjustment Index Test Subject Report, UAI TSR. I'm just trying to see if that shortened to something. But it doesn't, not really. The following is a report on the second successful case of sovereign test subject experimentation. Test subject, Volron. Okay, they said that this was the second one, so we were the first success, Alphen was, and Volron was the second success. Unique Adjustment Index. Although subject possesses high latent potential, it exhibits significant mental instability along with a strong distaste for following orders. As such, the risks it poses surpass even those of the last successful subject. Itself a failure, so they considered Alphen a failure too. Interesting. So technically whatever we were supposed to achieve, we technically didn't achieve, because they deem us a failure, and is therefore under consideration for disposal. This is the first successful case in 300 years. Okay, so he is from this generation. Previously mentioned risk factors are now mitigated due to established control protocols. This also explains why he came out of nowhere. And technically, since they're made in the image of a Dahnan, he's probably a Dahnan that was altered, or are we led to believe that they are complete fabrications made from Dahnan DNA? I think that they're actually just Dahnans that were turned into this, that were altered. At least that's what we're led to believe from Alphen, right? We know that he had a life before they stole him away and did this to him, so we can probably accept that Volron is the same. Previously mentioned risk factors are now mitigated due to established control protocols. Subject is to be evaluated under the assumption that Plan 2 will proceed and will be dispatched to Dahna under the guise of serving as a lord, which is why he came out of nowhere. Okay. Okay, the Sovereign acts as Lenegis' central control device for the spirit channeling ceremony. Okay, interesting. Each one is granted level 2 authority and an ID crest. So level 1 is probably the highest, so it's not like, yeah. Higher number does not mean better, lower number means better. So level 3 authority is the Lord's. Level 2 authority is the Sovereign, which means that either the Maiden, I'm guessing the Maiden's also a level 2, and that level 1 is whoever is behind everything. Okay, the Sovereign acts as Lenegis' central control device for the spirit channeling ceremony. Each one is granted level 2 authority and an ID crest. Okay, so IDs are the crests. The crests are the IDs are the crests. Gotcha. A Dahnan subject serves as the base of its creation. Cool. In theory, ideal candidates possess equal affinity for every astral element. Fascinating, okay. However, such aptitude is statistically rare to uncover within real-world conditions. And why would... that's interesting. So, like, a Dahnan is capable of having affinity for all elements? That's interesting. I wonder if that uncovers a underlying truth of Dahnans that has been taken from them. Maybe all of them have a high aptitude for all magic, and maybe it's being stolen from them? I don't know. As a result, most subjects die during the adjustment period, and stability is still not guaranteed for those who survive it. This instability, coupled with the Sovereign's powers of astral manipulation, pose a high risk to the security of Lenegis if left unchecked. As such, stabilization measures must be put in place via the support mechanism when utilizing the Sovereign in the spirit channeling ceremony. The support mechanism being the Maiden, maybe? Addendum 1. No effective alternate methods to perform the ceremony have been found. Trials on Dahnan subjects are authorized to continue. Addendum 2. Unit 2 adjustments are a success. Subsequent adjustments are to be put on hold while extended observation takes place. Okay, so Unit 2 being Volron, they made adjustments and they deemed it a success. Okay. And now they're just keeping an eye on him. The Maiden. The Maiden acts as the Sovereign support mechanism for the spirit channeling ceremony. Yep, okay, we were right about that. Each one is granted level 2 authority and an ID crest, meaning level 1 is something higher than them. A Renan subject serves its functions, providing the Sovereign with the supplemental dark astral it lacks in tandem with the Renis Alma. So, lacking dark astral energy, that's why the Maiden is there. Okay. In tandem with the Renis Alma, which contains all the other elements, okay? During the ceremony, it is partly responsible for astral energy conversion, as well as maintaining stability over the Sovereign's own powers. Additionally, the degree of intimacy between it and the Sovereign has been observed to positively impact the level of stability in both subjects. So they're engineered to get along in a way? Not necessarily that, but I'm wondering if there's some force that has been putting Shion and Alphen together in order to increase their relationship. You know what I mean? Wild. Okay. Because of this, trial activations of the Sovereign without the Maiden present are expressly forbidden. Furthermore, neither the Sovereign nor the Maiden are to be informed about the details of the spirit channeling plan. Oh man, I feel like we're on a track that somebody has put us on now. Ooh, this has me worried. Addendum 1, mental instability in the Maiden has been deemed the cause of the past Sovereign's rampancy. Countermeasures must be considered. Huh. The cause of the past Sovereign's rampancy. So the rampancy being the destruction of Lenegis that happened 300 years ago. Interesting. So because our maiden... What's her name? Naori? Because our maiden wasn't deemed stable enough in some way, who knows what that means, that's why we lost control and destroyed a lot of Lenegis at the time, 300 years ago. Countermeasures must be considered. Addendum 2, in line with plan adjustments, the current subject will have its maiden registration revoked and be returned to its original household. So Naori. Is that talking about Naori? Or current subject may actually be referring to Shion. I'm not entirely sure on that. It really depends on when this addendum was made. Was it made back 300 years ago, or is this addendum current? It would make sense that it's talking about Naori, because Naori would be returned to her original household and she would be allowed to have a family and children, which would mean that's why Shion is of the Imeris house, you know? She was allowed to have a family after this failed. Which is why Shion even exists. They need to be more careful about their wording, because a lot of their wording seems to be very, very confusing. Especially when we're talking about things that happened 300 years ago versus now. Okay. So, ooh, that harvester. Okay, Lenegis. A large-scale astral energy converter that primarily converts the elemental composition of Dahna's astral energy and transmits it to Rena. Very much like the Renasalma. So, like, this is basically a giant core. It's like a giant master core, essentially. Activation and control of astral energy conversion is achieved by placing the Sovereign, Maiden, and Renasalma within the central core of Lenegis. Okay? But when we saw the vision, it looked like the thing that's currently on Dahna, which is interesting. It is comprised of classified and essential personnel residence zones. Personnel residence zones around a large conduit, along with a defensive layer surrounding them. This outer layer is deployed upon activation, unlocking the central conduit while simultaneously functioning as the stabilization mechanism. Due to its design, deployment of the outer layer is expected to cause damage to residential zones. Seems like a design flaw. Maybe you should have done something about that. But it also means that it has activated. However, because that only takes place during the final stage of the spirit channeling ceremony, no contingency plan to address said damage is needed. Meaning that people would be asked to leave before it happened, and then they'd come back and fix it. But it activated without notice, and without a maiden, which means that Volron, I think, is actually trying to do the ceremony without a maiden, which is forbidden, which means something bad is going to happen as he tries to do this. Until that phase, Lenegis serves as the central base of operations for the management and execution of the crown contest on Dahna. Cool. Warning: any personnel with level 3 authority or lower is strictly forbidden from the classified zone. Any violators will be immediately executed. So even the lords aren't allowed in here. So technically, Shion has access here as well. So even if we didn't have the Sovereign, the Maiden technically would have been able to access that door, according to this. Detachable Harvester. A massive spirit vessel placed on Dahna for the spirit channeling ceremony. It serves as the tip of Lenegis' conduit from which it separates. Upon landing in Dahnan waters, it extends 2 sets of conducting pathways. The vertical pathways connect to the center of Dahna. Meanwhile, the horizontal pathways proceed to envelop the entire surface of Dahna. Once activated, it links to the biological spirit vessels placed in each realm, efficiently harvesting the planet's astral energy en masse. Okay. So did we maybe accidentally activate Lenegis? With all of those cores and stuff when the Red Woman showed up and wrecked shit? Okay. The accumulated energy is then transmitted to Rena via Lenegis. Because construction and adjustment take place in the Forbidden Zone's regulator area, Lenegis' outer layer must be deployed prior to launch. Okay. Intended to function semi-autonomously, only maintenance personnel are expected to manually interface with it when necessary. No other personnel is required for it to function. Addendum 1, Detachable Harvester 1 was lost on Dahna after exploding due to the rampancy exhibited by the Sovereign. Cool. Addendum 2, Detachable Harvester 2's landing point will remain the same as that of the previous model. This is due to the explosion of the previous model, which altered the planetary topography, enabling easier connection to the center of Dahna. Okay. Interesting. So, how did we end up doing so much damage to Lenegis when we were actually on Dahna at the time of the ceremony? That's wild. Unless we're under the wrong impression and that the damage that we did was actually to Dahna as a planet. Which is possible, I suppose. I feel like we're getting a lot of pieces, and I'm just going to be too dumb to be able to piece them all together correctly. Oh, I've been wondering about this. I've been wondering about the mask. The sedative mask. Who put it on him? Why and when? And hold on. If the ceremony takes place in the thing on Dahna, then at some point after that, he goes crazy, let's say Alphen. It seems like the Maiden failed to keep him under control. He goes crazy, he destroys some shit. Somehow he's gonna end up back on Lenegis, because we've been told that Lenegis is what, went under a bunch of destruction back then, which could just be from the activation itself, and maybe we're just under the wrong impression. Or maybe he did destroy a bunch. We know he destroyed something somewhere. But he's also given a ship that eventually sends him back to Dahna when he has the mask on. So there's definitely pieces of the story we still need. All right. A device covering the wearer's whole face that restricts their mental activity. It was developed for the purpose of pacifying prisoners. Medical applications are also recognized, particularly as a means of preventing patients from sustaining mental trauma. However, doing so is not recommended, as prolonged use of the device carries the risk of inducing a number of adverse side effects. Due to the loss of production facilities incurred from the partial destruction of Lenegis, additional devices will no longer be manufactured. I wonder if our girl Naori put us in this in order to keep us from continuing to lose control. That would make a lot of sense. Additional devices will no longer be manufactured. Okay. The Brainwashing Report. After receiving reports of a robust new form of rule emerging in Dahna's water realm, Volron stuff, a study was commissioned to investigate the matter in depth. So this is the brainwashing that Volron did. This system is unique in that it elevates only the Lord as the supreme authority while relegating both Renans and Dahnans alike to enslavement. Test Subject 10105 serves as the realm's current Lord and has achieved this without the use of any special powers, drugs, or special devices. Rather, it has done so by sheer governance. Given this method's effectiveness at population control, monitoring of the situation will continue. I don't understand that. By sheer governance, it makes it sound like he didn't use powers to mind control them. I don't understand that. Addendum 1. Collapse of cognitive facilities via extreme mental repression, rooted in violence and fear, has proven to be the key to this style of rule. There's my answer. Okay. So basically, he's just such an awful person that he's... It's a form of, what do they call it? When somebody kidnaps somebody and the kidnapped eventually starts to trust them in a way. What is that called? I forget the name of it. There is a name for it. Once the subject loses its autonomy, they become desensitized to fear and subsequently cease to prioritize even their own personal safety. Though such a state is ill-suited for commanding officers, it remains an effective way to cultivate disposable infantry and slaves for manual labor. Addendum 2, soldiers in Lenegis who have undergone this treatment will be asked to secure classified sectors as a trial. Which is why we ran into them on our way here. The results will be monitored. Select a topic to explore. So it's not some unique power necessarily of the Red Woman then. It's basically just a form of brainwashing through torture and just horribleness. Okay. Lovely. What a lovely, lovely thing that they've come up with. Oh. This one is not marked on the map? And notice, this area will now be shut down as the project proceeds to the final phase. That's why nobody's here. Okay. It's showing Lenegis' structures. You can see pipes for transporting astral energy sticking out of them. Cool. So, basically it looks like a moon before, and then half of it breaks open and becomes this little funnel. So the other half of Lenegis is still rounded out like a moon. Okay. It's showing this room's equipment. It hasn't been used in a long time. In a long time? Really? Does the final... Huh. That would almost imply to me that the final phase is the entire, 7-year contest. Huh. Has this place been empty for 7 years while this contest took place? Is that the whole the whole contest might be the final phase then? Okay. Can we interact with these ones? No. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot to take in. Yep, I remember this room. A room unchanged over 3 centuries. It's like time itself has stopped here. There's no way that the final phase is a whole 300-year thing because the reports... Unless all of these new reports are only from whoever's in charge? I don't know, man. 3 life bottles. Oh dear. What's coming next that they're giving me 3 life bottles? Can't be good. There's no way the final phase is a whole 300-year cycle, can it? I suppose it could, but... A notice? This area will now be shut down, okay. Same thing there. Nothing to go there. You see lots of numbers. Looks like logs of alignment between subjects and Lenegis proper. Logs of alignment between subjects and Lenegis proper. What does it mean by subjects? Oh, ran right past this. What are the quote-unquote subjects that it's referring to? Okay. Was that all an episode of... Ooh, whoops. Well, let's see what this has to say. Okay, another vision. We'll see this and probably end the episode. But yeah, it's been an episode of all lore. A lot of reading and a lot of trying to piece things together. Okay, here he is in the mask. With this implies that this is after he went wild and they failed. So whatever they were trying to do failed.
Don't talk. I have to do this. I gave you my word that I'd help you return to Dahna. The next time you open your eyes, you'll be home.
But you...
My place is here with my people. I still have a duty to fulfill. I'm sorry for what you've endured. Renan never should have dragged you into this. It's not your burden to bear.
But...
Implying that it's
contains a
Renan's
sedative.
burden
It
to
should
bear.
keep your mind from tearing itself apart any further. Let yourself go to sleep.
Yeah. So she did it in order to contain whatever was happening with him when he went crazy. Which probably would have
This
killed him
should
if she
help
hadn't
with
have
the
done.
pain. Time to go, Elfin. Farewell.
Naori.
His injuries are worse than I thought. Short-term treatment isn't going to cut it. I'll have to switch the healing pod to long-term hibernation mode.
Damn. Okay.
The chance of surviving hibernation's less than 10%? And worse, long-term use of the mask carries a high risk of damaging his mind and nervous system. But...
Nervous system, the pain. But why after the mask is fully removed can he feel pain again then?
Lenegis will be nothing but ashes. And this starship along with it. I don't know if I can fulfill my promise to you, Alphen. But if doing this will grant you even the slightest chance, I have to try.
So once the mask was fully removed, his nervous system went back to normal then.
I hope it's enough.
I'm guessing that that's what happened.
Please, live for me, Alphen.
Okay, we're getting lots of answers.
That vision. It must have been from when Naori helped Alphen escape Lenegis.
She sure went above and beyond the call of duty.
Even with Lenegis crumbling down around her, she chose to stay put with her people.
So that's why you lost your memories and sense of pain, and why you were asleep for that whole time. It was all the result of one agonizing decision Naori made to
We're
save
still
your life.
missing the part of the story of how they got back to Lenegis after they failed.
If it weren't for her, I wouldn't even be alive today.
Maybe it's not important.
I owe her everything. More than I could ever hope to repay.
Now that you know how she felt, how do you plan on honoring her wishes?
She kept her promise. If the Renan people she fought so desperately to protect are at risk from a malevolent force, then I owe it to her to carry on her fight. Naori was the one who put that mask on me, and made me Iron Mask.
She did it to prevent your soul from tearing itself apart. She knew you might lose your memories and sense of pain as a result. But more than anything, she wanted you to survive. And you did.
Okay.
How?
Is now the time. After all of that, she's like sneaking a snack. Wow, Shion. Can't believe you, girl. At any rate, this is where we're going to end this episode. So thank you all for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Have a good one, everybody. I'd like to give a very special shout out to my patron supporters, Darren York, ZTD, Seventh Son, Louis D, Ivan K, and Len. If you would also like to join this tier or any others, check out my memberships or my Patreon in the description down below.